drop.
Welcome to Bad Moms Media and Good Talks. Actually, it's Good Talks with Bad Moms, and we're going live today. I got to get used to saying that because we recently just changed up the name a little bit. So, Good Talks with Bad Moms going live. Do you guys like the intro? I think it's so cool. So, got to thank Christian and Amelia for sending that over to me. Anyway, guys, I'm going live. I haven't been live in a while. I've been doing it for 4 years, and still I get nervous in the first few minutes of it. So the rambling will stop, I promise. Today, you guys, I'm going live by myself because I wanted to kind of be uninterrupted with my thoughts. When you're, speaking with a guest or whatnot, you got to be cordial and give them their time and let them speak. And you got to remember what you're going to talk about. But today, I just wanted to have a conversation with you, my audience, and pretty much myself, kind of to assess where we're going together. I've been having these talks with myself, actually, thinking about where am I going with all of this, everything that I've been involved in, everything that I've been doing, like where am I going with this? So whatever I'm going to be talking about today, I've critiqued myself as well about it, because I feel it's important to be accountable for yourself and remain focused, have clarity, know where you're going with what you're doing. Because like I said in the Loca podcast, we have a responsibility. If we're out here speaking our thoughts, speaking our minds, then we have a responsibility to behave in such ways where it's, in accordance to what we're talking about, and so that other people can watch us do it and maybe mimic what we're doing because it's working. But I feel like just talking about it puts us in a loop, especially in this echo chamber that we find ourselves in. I feel like all the activist parents and all the activist people who we've met along the years can resonate with that we're in a little bit of an echo chamber. But I feel like when we connect the dots with other members of the state, other citizens of the state, when we connect ourselves together and we build upon a shared idea, a shared dream, so to say, to move forward from where we are, I feel like that we've connected, but I want there to be some different action. And I'm not talking about going to boardroom meetings or I feel like that did what it did when it did it. We met there, activist parents. We met there because we had a complaint, and then it turned into what it is today, parents rallying for parental rights. But until when do you want to keep going into their arena and trying to change their plan? I mean, we have to understand that their plan is working for them. They already know what to do and how to do it, and we're just in their way, which is fine because we gotta stand in the way of evil. But when do we actually get to change course? Because when do we actually see maybe this isn't working? When do we see that? When are we going to be accountable for ourselves and know that maybe this isn't working? Maybe it's not going as fast enough, because we want to argue and say we're doing something. I want to beg to differ. I feel that we are not doing as much as we should be doing, and the next step we're not taking collectively. And every time I talk about this, people get so kind of upset because I'm holding up a mirror, and I hate to say it, but it is true. I'm holding up a mirror for what you could be doing to fight the system, and that you're not. And so with that, I want to kind of touch on the CEO Act, or the CEO Act, if you're not aware of it, or if you haven't been following me. It's the Children's Educational Opportunity Act. I first was introduced to it by Kevin McNamee, Thousand Oaks Mayor, and he brought it to our attention in a boiler room meeting that we had last year, this time actually. It's been a year. And I've been fighting for that bill to pass, for that act to pass, or get into on the ballots so we can get that act to pass, because that is going to directly fight against the system that currently is in place for education, for example. That's going to directly fight it and disarm this monster that has become the Department of Education. And also, you don't feed the beast anymore when you start ascribing to different ways of education and different ways of raising your family. And when I say people don't like having this conversation because they think I'm tooting my horn, I'm not tooting my horn. I'm saying that we, as parental units, have the obligation, the godly obligation, I want to say, to take our kids from a system that is meant to harvest from them and never really to give them anything in return for that harvesting of energy. So we're giving our kids to the beast and then going and fighting them in the boardrooms. It makes no sense to me. So that's why I took my kids out in 2022 and we started micro schools. We started a micro school with other like-minded parents. At first, there was only like 20 kids in the whole school. Now we have 40, which is we've doubled since last year. And it's only getting bigger because, well, we can't even accept too many people because the space is limited. But we found a solution to get out of the system. And people argue, oh, we go to work, we do that. Well, we all work too. There's lots of working parents, grandmas and grandpas come and pick up the kids. It's just beginning to sound like excuses, unfortunately. I know you hate it when I say these things, but it's an excuse, and you're further allowing the system to win by continuously sending your children to the Rothschilds factory, people factory. The Rothschilds People Factory. That's what it is. We know about this. We know that they built these things called schools and institutions to somewhat get people, literate enough for them to read instructions on, how to be an employee or a worker or whatever. And not saying that you shouldn't be an employee. No, we need employees everywhere for different businesses that are in this matrix. But do not be fooled by thinking that this system is going to change for you or for me. No, it's not. And you sending your kid into these institutions, you're not really fighting anything, are you? It's not much of an activism if we're just talking about it and not doing it. And I wish that people would actually have a long conversation. I wish that people would actually come to the events that I host about the micro schools, because the last one that I had 3 people show up, even though there was like a bunch of shares on Facebook and Instagram. 3 women showed up to the presentation for the micro school, and all 3 of them signed their kids up. I have 100% success rate when it comes to this stuff. So people are seeing the value that micro schools bring, and it's actually less expensive than private schools. Now, who needs to pay for these schools, right? Like, why do we have to pay for these schools if our money is already being sent in taxes for this education system? And we don't have to pay for it, and that's where the CEO Act comes into play. And I don't want to touch on the CEO Act right now because I'm going to have Jess, my friend Jess, come on. We're going to talk about it. I want to have a conversation about that, not just talk at you. What I want to do right now is bring to light situations that we're facing collectively, and bring to light about how we can move forward and stop fighting the demon, the beast, with no weapons, real weapons. Like, what are the weapons that you have? Because look at they're passing all these bills. They're still doing their thing. Like, there's nothing that we can say that we've done other than come together, which is the biggest thing we could have done, because we are all under God now. I feel like the evil had to happen for all of us to come together. I feel like the evil had to happen for me to step away from atheism, which was in January 2022. I realized, like, what am I doing? I'm not an atheist. None of the beliefs that I currently hold to be true are facts anymore for me. I don't resonate with atheism. Everything that I experienced, everything that I saw, I just knew what team I was on, and it wasn't on the side of evil. Because everything was not becoming. The evil was being unveiled right before our eyes. And those who have eyes, let them see. Those who have ears, let them hear. Because I didn't want to continue behaving in the same way if I saw that this way wasn't working anymore. So I pulled my kids out without even a breath. I just knew, okay, it took 2 years from 2020 to 2022. But once I was aware completely, I had no right to leave my kid in the public school system of California. I had no right. It was unfair to my kid. I get rebuttals from people saying, oh, well, I work. I can't afford it. I can't take time. Or during COVID, I was such a mess. I was such a bad teacher, this and that. Like, I'm here to tell you that we all were bad teachers. All right. All of us. None of us know what we're doing, so none of us knew what we were doing, and we were just winging it and trying to be patient and trying to be calm and trying to, like, make our kids understand what they're being taught supposedly in school, on digital school. And we were all frustrated. We were all stuck at home. So it's not fair to assess your experience and apply it as a whole. It's not fair for that little part of that experience to be applied to the whole of the thing, which is you're going to benefit children, and you're going to actually directly fight against the evils that are. We're never going to win a single fight if it's done in their arena. We might push back a little, but it's still their arena. They'll flood it how they want to. They'll make us think it's democratic and diplomatic and all this crap, but it's not. What it is, it's just a facade at this point, because, again, the unveiling continues to happen. 4 years ago, the unveiling happened for me in a different way. 2 years ago, unveiling happened for me in a different way. And now the unveiling is happening in a different way, which is showing me that what we're doing is currently, that's it. We're at the end of that game. We have to pull out of the arena, pull our kids out of that indoctrination camps, create our own schools. It's doable. I'm doing it. We're doing it. Other parents with me are doing it. We have a building where our kids go to. We have a armed security that we've hired, and we're not paying that much per month. Actually, it's very affordable. You probably spend more money on a Starbucks or halfway there every month, or whatever guilty pleasure you have. See, this is where you as a parent need to come in and be like, oh, maybe I should cut this guilty pleasure in half, or maybe I can not do this thing if it means saving your child. I mean, it always boggles my mind whenever I see that video of those women being asked, hey, will you kill for your child? And they're like, kill for my child? No, of course not. I don't know. Or what do you mean? Like, that's a no-brainer. Of course, yes. A million times over and over, I'd go to hell. I'd accept my fate in hell if it means to protect my child. All right? But we don't need to do that. We don't need to go to hell to protect our children, you guys. We need to create heaven for them. We need to create Garden of Edens for them. Gardens of Eden for them. We don't need to constantly be going into the barracks and shooting at the phantom enemy, they, thems. I mean, they, them agree that they're demons because they call themselves such. It's in the Bible. I didn't write it. It says so in there. When you don't have an actual identity, when you don't have a guide, such as God, then you're not going to have an identity that you can adhere to. So that's why we need to pull our kids out, all right? Create the micro schools. Stop fooling yourself. Stop lying to yourself about this bill passing or, we need to get the signatures. We need to get the petitions. We do need to get bills on the ballot, and we need people who are like-minded, who see the value in, for example, the CEO Act being on the ballot, which provides $17,000 per year per student to any school of your choice, which includes micro schools, by the way. When you have that opportunity, why would you not allow your child to experience that? Why would you not get it on the ballots ourselves? We don't have to fight their bad bills. We can create even better bills. And we come together and show our unison, show our togetherness for such a thing as the CEO Act. Again, I'm not going to talk about it all today. Next time. So I implore all the activists, I implore all of you to think of ways, at least start working towards it. At least start working towards building these micro schools together. You have an empty church, not an empty church, sorry, but a church that might have empty rooms. That could be considered a school. You have someone's living room is big enough. That could be considered a school. 5 of you can get together and take your kids together, bring your kids together. They can all be in the same age or even different ages, because we have kids that are different age groups in the same class, and it seems to be working just great. They help each other, they teach each other, they keep each other balanced. It's just such a pleasant place for kids to be in. We don't have to worry about bullying because all of the parents are like-minded, which means they're raising like-minded kids. When someone does something wrong, we all are in on it as a village, because it does take a village to raise a kid. So you can't do that in these public schools at all. Nobody knows each other there. I could be wrong, but everyone knows everyone at school when it's a micro school. Oh, you're afraid of your kids not socializing. That's another excuse. Your kids can socialize everywhere, especially at these micro schools. They'll have a better relationship with the friends they're making, as a matter of fact. There's no competition between the kids. There's competition. They play, they do games, sports, wherever the competition needs to be. But not in the classrooms, not with their outfits, not with their minds. We're very big on making sure that all the kids together are friends with each other. They don't have to agree with each other. We're just big on them being friends. So what am I spilling the beans about? Activists, activate. Parents who are sending their kids to public schools, you might not see a problem today, you might not see the problem tomorrow, but it's coming up. It's coming up, and it's already like catapulted into such a big monster that it's very difficult to fight unless we actually all get together and do it, which, by the way, a lot of you sleepyheads left us activist parents high and dry during the times that you guys were needed. And this is why the loop continues, because we don't have cohesion. We're not as motivated, I suppose, as the left is. And I say left and right because just to get an understanding of what I'm talking about. But we're not as motivated, we're not as organized, and thank God for this studio. Thank God for the opportunity to record here and talk about this, because I feel like this could go further when we have proper media functions, proper resources. Everything just otherwise gets lost, and I feel like the left has all that. The left has their media together, and they're getting the messages out across in unison. So I, again, urge all of us parents and the activists alike to have our message clear. And that means take your kid out. Don't feed the system any longer. Don't continue to go to their arenas because we're just, I don't know. It's not, we're losing there, I feel like. And I could be wrong, but that's my perspective. We're losing there. We got to take it elsewhere. It's like we're in Sodom and Gomorrah. We're in Sodom and Gomorrah, and we're like, no, that's not right. No, that's not. Don't do that. I don't like this. Who's listening? No one's listening. We're in Sodom and Gomorrah. We got to get out of that, or completely obliterate it. And we can't obliterate it, but we can get out and we can build. And then naturally, it'll get obliterated by itself, because there's no more bodies being fed to the matrix. Let me see. 1955 AB. I don't want to... Again, none of these interest me, to be honest with you. But when they're passing laws that are against parents and parental rights, it's only the beginning. They want to start by saying, oh, we want to protect these children from the parents. That's already a step in the wrong direction. There's laws that are trying to protect children from their parents. Okay? It's already scary. So you can use anything as an excuse to protect the child from the parent. The child can, as a matter of fact, my friend, and I'm not going to name names, obviously, she just had her daughter get taken away from her from one of these Glendale schools. They got her back, thank God. All because she spoke with a counselor on campus for 30 minutes, asked random questions, and the counselor pretty much deemed her house unsafe for LGBTQ, even though the child did not identify as an LGBTQ. She just asked questions, and it was deemed that her parents were not LGBTQ friendly from that counselor. And so social services came and took their daughter away. 16-year-old, by the way. Not even like too young, just 16-year-old. And thank God they fought it in court. It was an ordeal, but they fought it in court, and the judge deemed that this was unlawful. The seizure of that child was unlawful. Now, my friend and her husband, they're adamant about how they raise their kids, and they're great parents. And so they went after it hard with lawyers and everything. So imagine parents that don't know how to fight back, or are too afraid to, or think that they might be wrong in some way. That kid's going to get lost. I mean, look at what Elon Musk just talked about recently, about his son Xavier being pretty much dead because the system took him, enveloped him in its guts. Xavier's in the belly of the beast right now. So Elon Musk, a brain, a genius like that, who has all these companies, who has all these perspectives that are broad, like he's thinking about, cosmos and stuff. Like, they got him. They made him think that he might have been the problem. That if Xavier didn't go do this, that Xavier was going to be dead. And it turns out Xavier died for Elon Musk after all, because he lost his son to transgenderism. So if Elon Musk be getting fooled, then how many countless parents are out there who don't even feel like they have a voice, who can't protect their children? And now on top of that, they're writing bills and passing them. New scum is passing these bills. And I feel like that's why he didn't run for president this year, because he would have had a lot of backlash with the parental rights activists, which are, we were talking about it earlier, who are conveniently being ignored. Nobody thinks anything of us, really, because look at what they do. They pass these bills. They still continue to celebrate LGBTQ openly in schools. They don't care about what parents said about those pornographic books. And so we're taking an L left and right. When are we going to recognize that there are no W's left in this arena? Okay, so I implore all of you to stop feeding the system. This was what this podcast episode is going to be about. Just stop feeding it. I'll help you guys figure out how. There's resources. There's ways to do this. The CEO Act, when it passes in 2026, because we couldn't get enough signatures, or we weren't going to have enough time because they pretty much bamboozled the process. We weren't going to have enough time to collect enough signatures. But now we have a year and a half of campaigning for the CEO Act, the Children's Educational Opportunity Act, to collect as many signatures as we possibly can, and even more. I would even go as far as to collect double what they were wanting from us, because if we can't collect from, how many people live in California? Half of that. If we can't even collect 10% of half of the people, or 1% of half of the people living in California for this act to pass, which, by the way, is being implemented in Arizona. It's called something different, but kids in Arizona get this program, and parents of private schools even, because private school parents, guess what? You can benefit from this so much, but you're paying already into taxes for the state for other kids to go to public school, and you're still paying for tuition for your private school. Imagine if you could get your money's worth back and have that tuition paid for. Like, why wouldn't private school people want it? So Arizona has this program. They're implementing it. Seek Smith from Mom Army, we talked about this last year as well. She's the one that told me about it, and that they have this program in Arizona. And largely it was the private school parents who got this passed, because they understand the value of A, paying taxes, and B, reaping from the taxes that they pay. So we need to get the CEO Act on the ballot. Private school parents, this is for you as well. So make sure you look into it, or tune in for when Jess and I go live and talk about this. And we're going to have more of like interactive conversation about it as parents. She's a homeschool mom too. Jess has pulled her kids out of the system. She's not feeding the beast. I'm not feeding the beast. I know plenty of people are not feeding the beast, but those who are, stop feeding the beast. My live shows, and all shows actually, I'm aiming to keep at 30 minutes or less. No, not less. 30 minutes. 30 minutes is good. Around 30 minutes. Because I want you to hear the things that are happening, and so you can draw conclusions from it. Because, again, I could talk about it in more detail, in more depth, but what do you think about it? What do you think about what I'm saying? How much thought are you going to put into it? What are you going to do to mull it over? You know, there's a lot of thinking that's not being done. We're just behaving like zombies in a sense, and just continuing on doing the things that were convenient for us and comfortable. But we have to get uncomfortable at this point. There's no more. You can't make any more excuses. Get uncomfortable. Figure out your finances. Figure out how you're going to take your kids out of the school. This is how we drain the swamp. Like, you're talking about a swamp. It's not just one swamp. It's many swamps. This is how we drain it, or at least create a perimeter around it so nobody falls into it, and or at least get away from it far enough and build our own program, our own system. My family's here. It's really nerve-wracking. You want to come in and say hi before I end the show? Yeah. The baby, husband, 2 sons. We're doing the Christian thing. Come in and say hi. Don't trip over any wires. Let's go.
Ooh, I'm going to trip over so many wires.
Yeah. This is Michael. He wants to have his own show eventually. Maybe we could get a poll.
I was on this show last year.
On Instagram, that's right.
Yeah. I've been asking for a year.
You'll get your own show. Don't worry. You're still little. Okay, fine. You're big, but you're not old. You have enough time. Don't worry. If we do this thing right, if we do this thing called parenting right, then for sure you'll have everything you've ever wanted.
Can I be on the next show? Can we do a poll so I can be on the next show as a guest? Please.
If you guys want Mikey on the next show as a guest, just drop a comment. I don't know. Say something. We'll get Mikey on the show. Yes, you'll be on the show soon. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this live today. It was fun. It was fast. And I plan to have episodes drop with guests. So stay tuned for that. So this is really fun, you guys. I'm really having a good time being in the studio. And eventually everything will come together and we'll all get it right. And don't hate me, you guys. Please. I'm just talking the truth. I mean, you can hate me if you want. It's kind of fun. But don't hate me. I'm just speaking truthfully for all of us.
Please don't hate my mom.
Please don't hate Michael's mom.
Well,
all right.
if you want, you can. But please, not me. I'm probably the kindest one right now.
You just threw me under the bus like that.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But can I say your age out there now, please?
Yeah, you could say my age.
Yeah, my mom's 40 years old. She's old. But don't hate her, please. It was just a joke.
When I was in your age, I thought 40-year-olds were old too.
Old. It's really old.
I'm an old lady having babies. Meanwhile, we have a lot of cat ladies hanging around. No cat lady jokes. All right.
I don't know. I don't get the jokes.
Outro.
Outro, please.
Thanks for watching Bad Moms, y'all.
Bye.
It was very fun.
Let it drop. Let it drop.